I don't want to set the world on fire. I just want to open some magic Fallout. Hello, I'm tabletop editor Joe Parlock, and Wizards of the Coast has sent over packs of its newest set for Magic the Gathering, Universes Beyond Fallout. Universes Beyond is Magic's sort of big crossover umbrella brand. It's done stuff with Street Fighter. We had Doctor Who last year, we had Lord of the Rings. This year we've got Assassin's Creed, and of course we've got Fallout. It's primarily for Commander decks with, I believe it's about 50 new cards in it. But the collector's boosters, you have chances of getting not just any of the cards that are in the decks, but also exclusive new art treatments for them, and a few reprints which don't show up in the decks. There's nothing mechanically new here, so if you bought all 4 Commander decks, you would have every new Fallout card. But, you know, it's Fallout. There's treatments. I love Fallout. I love Fallout to bits, and I'm really excited to check out what's in this. It is 15 cards, it says right there, because I'm an idiot. And because it's a Universes Beyond set, it's got stuff like Surge Foiling, which in Doctor Who made the cards a little bit illegible at times, so I hope they've sort of scaled it back a little for Fallout. But the big thing we want are the Vault Boy reprints. Anything with Vault Boy on, bish bash bosh. I'm very, very excited for this. Like, Universes Beyond, I know everybody's got problems with Universes Beyond. Well, not everybody. A lot of people have got Universes Beyond problems and they're very loud about them. I was originally on that bandwagon, like when they first announced it, when they did like The Walking Dead, and then they announced and they did like Fortnite and Street Fighter and stuff like that. I was like, not a fan of this. But every major Universes Beyond set they've done so far has been an absolute banger. Doctor Who was my favourite set last year. Lord of the Rings was fantastic. Warhammer 40k, that one was brilliant. So I'm really excited for Fallout. I'm really excited for Assassin's Creed. I'm fully on board with Universes Beyond now. Like, ask me again in 2 years when we've got all the Marvel sets, because I'm a bit over those. But as long as the card designs are good, I don't care if Spider-Man's on them. Anyway, Fallout. Of course, for a collector's booster, we've got the double-sided foil tokens. So we've got a 1/1 soldier with haste, who I believe is Caesar's Legion from New Vegas. We've got a radiation counter. So radiation is one of the new mechanics in Fallout. Whenever you have a radiation counter at the start of your turn, at the start of your pre-combat main phase, after upkeep, and after you draw, you mill cards equal to the number of rad counters you have, and for everything that isn't a land, you also lose 1 life and lose a rad counter. So they deplete over time. It's like radiation in Fallout. It isn't just there for good. Let's just zoom in a bit more on that. There we go. Goodbye, Sparkle Bear. Yeah, so it's a way of milling, but it's a way of milling that your opponent can sort of get out of. Because if they can just sort of hold out, eventually they will run out of rad counters. Right. There aren't really any standout cards that I really super want from this set. I just like the Fallout theming. So we've got our basic full art swamp. Interestingly, we've got full art lands in the Commander decks as well, which isn't something they've done before. I think that's something they should just do as standard from now on, just include the full art lands. If they're going to do them for every set, they're already no longer as special as when they were only in Zendikar sets, so just put them in the Commander decks. I think that's a really good move, and these ones in particular, they follow a Wanderer and Dogmeat as they go through various places in the Wasteland. The other style is really cool. I don't think we're going to pull it now we got this, but the other style is like isometric. Looks like the original Interplay games. Mwah, love it. Blasphemous Act. Always need a Blasphemous Act. Absolute staple in Commander. One of the best red board wipes. And in Surge Foil. Everyone knew the bombs were coming. Everyone but the public. Yeah, that is cool. The surge foiling is still a bit aggressive, but it's a Blasphemous Act. Everyone knows what Blasphemous Act does. So, Captain of the Watch. Vigilance. Other soldier creatures you control get +1/+1 and have Vigilance. When it enters the battlefield, you make 3 1/1 white soldier creature tokens. So for 6 mana, this has Vigilance, buffs all your other soldiers, and it effectively makes 3 2/2 white soldiers. Unless this dies and they go back to be 1/1s, but that's not bad, especially with how much soldier stuff we've had recent-ishly. Like, Brothers War had a lot of that. March of the Machine had a lot of soldier stuff. We've had quite a bit of soldier synergy lately, so that's nice. Crimson Caravaneer. Double Strike Trample. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you make a junk token. And with junk tokens, you do a bit of impulsive draw. You exile the top card of your library, and you can play it that turn. You should have to pay the mana costs and everything, but, you know, for stuff like if you're playing anything with like Paradox from the Doctor Who decks, or if you're playing Faldorn, or anything that cares about exiling, junk tokens are going to be mint. Everflowing Chalice. Multi-kicker 2, so you can just pay 2 as many times as you like, and it enters with a charge counter for each time it was kicked. And then you can tap it to add a colourless for each charge counter on Everflowing Chalice. I've recently made a colourless commander deck, and I can't remember if I've even got Everflowing Chalice in there. I should probably check that. Thanks for the reminder, Pack. Recon Craft Theta. Flying. When it enters the battlefield, you make a 0/0 blue alien creature token, put a 1/1 counter on it, and whenever it attacks, you proliferate. I've also recently made a proliferate deck, so that kind of fits quite nicely into that as well. This is... So even though Fallout is all post-nuclear, post-apocalyptic, there are still aliens in it. I think one of the Fallout 3 DLCs was all alien-y, if I remember correctly. But they've been in there since the very start, so it's nice that Wizards hasn't forgotten that bit and put a bit more of the weird into it. Feral Ghoul Extended Art. Menace. Whenever another creature you control dies, put a 1/1 counter on Feral Ghoul. When it dies, each opponent gets a number of rad counters equal to its power. That is scary. In any sort of sacrifice deck, in any sort of zombie deck, this is going to be absolutely terrifying. Temple of Abandon. So, the temples have been since one of the Theros sets, possibly Theros Beyond Death. That feels too recent. Anyway, they scry when they enter, and this one taps for red and green. They're not the best lands. Like, they're handy. Like, they still give you 2 colours, they still scry, but in the grand scheme of things, if I had to pull a land, I wouldn't go for a temple, but I like the art. It's Novak from... Is it Novak from New Vegas? Is that what the place is called? Yeah, because it's no vacancies. It's like a burnt out motel, and the sign's all scorched away, so no vacancies became Novak. Yeah, and Boone sits up in the mouth with his sniper rifle. I do love the art for that. My boy! Harold and Bob First Newmans. When Harold and Bob First Newmans dies, if it was a creature, return it to the battlefield. It's an aura enchantment with Enchant Forest you control. And tap, add 3 mana of any one colour. You get 2 rad counters. Harold and Bob is my favourite character in the entire Fallout series. I absolutely love Harold. He was a mutant. He fell in a vat of FEV. And then over the years, he just started growing a tree out of his head for some reason. Until he was in the first 2 Fallouts, so he was all the way over on the East Coast. By the time he got to DC, eventually his tree, which he called Bob, just sort of fixed him into place. Just completely fastened him to the floor, and it grew this big, beautiful oasis around him, called Oasis. And all people from the Capital Wasteland sort of flocked around him, and they built up this cult. And when you finally meet him in Fallout 3, his quest is he asks you to kill him because, you know, all of his organs have spread out through the forest, and it's very grim, but you can convince him. And it's my favourite quest in Fallout 3, but Harold is my favourite character in Fallout. I'm so happy I got this. It's not a brilliant card, it does one thing when it dies, but we've had a lot of Tree Folk synergy recently with Lord of the Rings. It might go in my Goreclaw deck. Love it. Exotic Orchard. Getting a lot of lands, but again, it is a commander staple, so I'm not too upset about that. Add 1 mana of any colour of the land an opponent controls could produce. Mr. Gutsy. Whenever you cast an aura or an equipment spell, put 1/1 counter on Mr. Gutsy. When Mr. Gutsy dies, create X junk tokens, where X is the number of 1/1 counters on it. In the extended art, Surge Foiling. That's nice. Mr. Gutsy's were the military version of the Mr. Handy robots. They speak in like these really stereotypical American soldier commander, like a drill sergeant type voice. And, Fallout is great. Fallout is like chef's kiss. I love it. Pure Steel Paladin. Nice. 2 white, Surge Foil. 2 white for a Human Knight. Whenever an equipment enters the battlefield under control, you may draw a card. And it's got Metalcraft. Equipment you control have equipped 0 as long as you control 3 or more artifacts. Excellent for any sort of Voltron deck. Really easy to activate. Not as... when this was first printed, it was a little bit harder. But these days with stuff like junk tokens and treasure and everything else, it is so easy to trigger that Metalcraft and just get to equip things for free. Still at sorcery speed, but still great. Powder Ganger. Squad 2. So Squad is the mechanic that was introduced in Warhammer. And it has sort of become like the calling card of Universes Beyond sets. I think every Universes Beyond set has had Squad in there somewhere. And it just means every time you... It's a bit like multi-kicker, you can pay the cost repeatedly. Every time you pay 2 generic to cast this, you get another copy of it. And when it enters the battlefield, it destroys up to 1 artifact. So for each time you pay 2 on top of that, you get a 2/2 creature, token copy, and those ones also blow up another artifact. So you get enough mana, you can just wipe the board of artifacts, which isn't bad. Okay. Oh, sorry, I've got a bit of a chest infection, and Farewell made me cough. Farewell is one of the best, but also the most controversial board wipes in Magic ever. It is just a reset button. You pay 6 mana, you can exile just about everything. The only thing, you can't exile lands and you can't exile battles, but artifacts, creatures, enchantments, graveyards, they're all gone. There is a lot of discourse about this card, about whether or not it should be banned in Commander, because it is just such a... For what it does, it is such a low cost. Like, 6 mana is a lot normally, when you can just wipe everything. And people sort of argue that it, because it's a not a unilateral, universal board wipe, everybody's affected equally. It only sort of exists to pull the game back and make it drag out for a lot longer. I personally disagree with that. I run Farewell in multiple decks. It's just about when you play it, like, don't be mean when you do it, and you're fine. Ooh. Toxic Sheepsquatch is our final card. And it's Gemrazor! So, this is a skinned card, which means, for all intents and purposes, so for stuff like your deck building, it counts as Gemrazor. If you name a card and you name Toxic Sheepsquatch, you're also naming Gemrazor, and vice versa. But yeah, this is themed on the Pip-Boy, the thing you wear on your wrist in Fallout games. And it's got a little HUD on top of the art, which is really cool. Looks like a VATS display. And it's got Mutate. Considering there is a mutant deck in this that doesn't have a single Mutate card in it, I do like that they reprinted this one. Generator itself, not the best. Like, I mean, if you're doing a Mutate deck, it's fantastic. And Mutate is one of my favourite mechanics. Like, I know it's a bit tricky to track sometimes. Sometimes it can be very snowbally. You're putting all your eggs in one basket. I love Mutate. Mutate was like, it was new when I got back into Magic. I got back into Magic between Ikoria and Core 2021. So Mutate was new. Everyone was still figuring out there were Mutate decks in the standard. It was brilliant. I love Mutate. So that might find its way into a deck of some sort. I mean, obviously from this, Farewell is the big one. It's not in foil. It's just a regular card. But I think for the flat colours on the art, I think not being foil sort of does it a favour. Also very happy with Pure Steel Paladin. Also very happy with Harold and Bob. Feral Ghoul, because I do want to make a zombie deck. And Blasphemous Act, because I don't know how many times I've made a deck and I've thought, oh yeah, I'll just throw Blasphemous Act in it, and then found out I don't have a spare copy. So I'm really happy with that. And the really nice one. So yeah, that is Universes Beyond Fallout. Make sure to check the Gamer. We've got lots of lists on it. We've got a rundown of every single card in every single deck. We've got guides for the decks. We've done loads of Fallout stuff. Thank you very much for watching. And assuming the nuclear winter doesn't get you, I will see you next time.